Good evening. Ooh, that's a little bit. There we go. That's a little bit better. Good evening. Welcome to what may or may not be yet another riveting edition. There we go. Oh no, that's still not right. I'm sorry. Bear with me, guys. Another riveting edition of The Ghost and the Goat. I am your host, paranormal investigator Buddy Thayer. Welcome you into Take My Hand. We'll walk into a most haunted, a most paranormal world. Not just ghosts. We'll talk about ghosts. We'll talk about UFOs. We'll talk about I don't know, maybe like the Bigfoot, the big feet. I don't know where I stand on big feet. I don't know where I while I do not hunt UFOs, I cannot deny there's definitely UFOs. I want to hear more about UFOs. If you were with us last week, there was a little bit about UFOs. There was a little bit about ghosts. It's a little bit about spirits and stuff. Really cool stuff. Later on this month, I have a guest coming on who's involved with some really UFO-y stuff. Tonight, my guest tonight, he's I'm not going to introduce him yet. He is a paranormal investigator, so we're going to be talking some ghosty stuff. However, his name is Brian, but I have not heard from Brian. I've sent stuff to Brian all week, like, hey, blah, blah, blah. Next Tuesday, he's like, yeah, you got a promo? I'm like, yeah. They sent it to him on Sunday, or sent it to him today, rather. And I'm like, hey, come in around like 8:20. I want to do like sportsy talk. I got some fundraising updates and shit I want to toss at people really quick. But we'll talk about paranormal this evening. And I have not heard back from Brian. So if you know Brian, if you know my guest tonight, Brian Fuller, give him a shout. Hey, Brian, this guy Buddy is looking for you. You're due on his show in about 20 minutes. Maybe he knows already. Maybe he's just doing other things. I don't know. If Brian happens to come on, it's gonna be a riveting conversation. I promise you, at least that. If not, I'll wow you for a little bit with tricks and I'm gonna talk about fundraising. I'm gonna talk about sports a little bit. We'll get into we'll come up with something. I cannot guarantee I'll be able to go the full 2 hours if it's just myself listening to myself talk, because I've heard myself talk all day long, and I can only hear myself so much, I guess. So yeah, I'll give you what I got if it comes down to it. Maybe we can chat shit on the old comments, whatever, the chat room, if you will. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go. Speaking of figuring out things as they go, I guess I'll throw sports at you first. My Miami Dolphins continue to try and figure out how to rebuild their team without calling it a rebuild. I've been a fan of my Miami Dolphins. It's not the season. I know we're awaiting the draft. We're awaiting the NFL draft in about 2 short weeks or so. A lot of anticipation going into this. Not for me. The Dolphins are gonna screw it up somehow. We had a good draft pick last year. Yeah, they'll find some way to mess it up. They always do. That's what's paranormal about football is like holy shit. Like you could like put all this talent and all this money into this beautiful team and this beautiful weather, and year after year, coach after coach, system after system, they continue to suck. So I don't know what it is with the Dolphins. The Florida Gators, though, Florida has a little bit to celebrate this time of year, as the Florida Gators they crowned the national championship of NCAA March Madness when they defeated the Houston, I think the Cougars. They were behind some of the game. I wasn't sure if they were going to do it. I was listening. I was working. I was doing stuff. And then, like, bam, they were like, holy shit, they came ahead and they won the game. So congratulations, Florida. The Gators, while I am a Notre Dame Fighting Irish fan, go Irish. Yeah, it's nice to see. I thought Duke was going to steal it all, but it's nice to see the Orange guys from down in Florida win one. So good for you guys. In basketball news, in other basketball news, in bigger basketball news, if you will, the Boston Celtics are continuing to win games. 10 out of the last 11 games they've won. Not too bad. I threw it out there last week. I think the Celtics are going to win the NBA Finals again. That's my prediction. I probably, being a Boston fan, I'll probably fall right on my face, but time will tell. They have a really lovely team this year, as they did last year, and Porzingis, he's gonna turn into a dragon, and like Liu Kang, just bite people's heads off in the playoffs. It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be paranormal. It's gonna be great. Luck of the Irish. That's a horrible thing to say. Actually, that's an awful thing to say about Irish people, like my own. But anyway, it was based on an insult. Anyway, something else that's kind of paranormal. So, I don't know if y'all like have Netflix or know about this amazing series that's starting on Netflix. I don't really like to cover Netflix, but this is about my beloved Boston Red Sox. So Netflix is coming out with a new series called A Year with the Red Sox, and it popped last year. It popped like just the other day in Boston News that outfielder Jaron Duran, he came out with a story on he came out with a story on the Netflix, which is due to premiere on Tuesday evening, where he was like really not doing well in baseball. The fans were like jeering him. He felt like a total jerk. He felt like he wasn't doing his part. He's like, I was hearing it from the fans, and what they said to me, it was like I told myself 10 times worse in the mirror. That was a really tough time for me, and I didn't want to be here anymore. He's like, I got to the point I was sitting in my room. I had my rifle and I had a bullet in it, and I pulled the trigger. The gun clicked, but nothing happened. So to this day, I think God just didn't let me take my own life, because I seriously don't know why it didn't go off. I took it as a sign I might have to hit the paranormal coming in at you like a curveball. I took it as a sign I might have to be here for a reason. So that's when I started to look at myself in the mirror after the gun didn't go off. I was like, do I want to be here or do I not want to be here? That happened for a reason, and obviously you're here for a reason. So let that be the way you want to be, and play the way you want to play, and live the way you want to live. Amen. Amen, Jared. He's 20 years old. He entered the majors with the Red Sox as a rookie in 2021, hitting .215, and he had 10 RBIs in 33 games. The following season, he only did slightly better, hitting .221, 17 ribbies in 58 games. His career then took like a huge upward swing in 2023. He got an early jump off of AAA. The Blue Sox, such a kick in the ass. You took my beloved Paw Sox away from us. Anyway, he hit 295. 40 ribbies, 102 games, stealing 24 bases, scoring 46 runs. He became the first-time All-Star in 2024 and was MVP of the game. So it's not about the story. It's not so much about baseball. It's kind of like the paranormal, where the gun was supposed to go off, but the gun didn't go off. Was it spiritual? Was it some kind of intervention? My point in telling this story is I work in mental health. I'm a big proponent for mental health. If something's going on, if you're not feeling just right, dude, if you feel like, or ladies, if you feel the need, like you gotta do something drastic, pick up the phone, 401-867-0055. Call me. We can talk about it. We don't have to do anything crazy. Whether you're a ball player or whether you're the guy up the street, give me a call. I'm here for you. That's my personal cell phone number. If you're having troubles, if you just want to bust my balls, go F yourself. I'm just putting myself out there. Just like if you've got problems, if you need help, if you need direction, if you just need somebody to listen, and you feel like nobody hears you, buddy's here for you. All right. Mental health awareness is huge. If you see a problem, call somebody, let somebody know. Don't be like, he'll be all right. All right. It's not my problem. Or I got other things. No, because things could go bad. Things could go wrong. So know that there's always help. Sometimes you got to search for a little bit harder in your community than others do. So call people like me. There's people like me all over the state, all over the world, that are dedicated to mental health and dedicated to safe living. So don't do anything stupid. Don't do anything. Jared, you're having a hell of a career, bud. Continue hitting those balls, dude. Speaking of hitting the balls, Rafi Devers, dude. Holy shit. He went from suck. Hold on. I'll show you the picture I had last week of him where he's crying. He was crying in the dugout. There he is. His Rafi. Poor Rafi. He couldn't get a hit. Rafi walked a few times, but Rafi didn't do anything outstanding. People were like, Rafi, you sucked last year at third base. You had several errors. You had several misses, dude. Then we go out and we gut somebody. We're going to make you a DH. You don't have to worry about that shit. You had that oblique problem, or, maybe you just got a little fat in the offseason and you kind of sucked in the spring training. So we got you, Rafi. We got you. All you got to think about, Rafi, is going out there and doing what you're really good at, and that's hitting the baseball. Rafi got a little upset. What's it? That first baseman, Casas, he sucks now too. And he came out, he spoke about Rafi. He's like, Rafi should stay at third base, and this guy Bregman should go to second or go to like B. He should be the DH. This guy's a Gold Glove. He's not going to scrub. He's defense. He's a great personality. So yeah, these guys have been like so they started hitting the baseball. Other than Casas, who is still. Maybe he'll come around. Maybe he'll get traded. Who cares? The Red Sox are back. We are at 6-5. We play a 6-5 Toronto Blue Jays tonight. We got our ass kicked last night, but holy shit! The other night it was 18-7. The hit parade was on. The Red Sox are back in town, and we don't need a special bat to do it. So that's what I gotta say. Go Red Sox. Hopefully, it's a long season. I could just be blowing smoke up my own ass right now, and in a month we could have 4 injuries. And Trevor Story, knock on wood, this is like his 3rd season, 2 seasons in a row. He's injured himself for the entire season. So I'm gonna start holding my breath because it's coming towards May, and you never know what's gonna happen in baseball. So that's kind of that. Juan Soto, $765 million man. He plays like shit. They got it. Good for you, Red Sox, for not going in on Juan Soto. That save you guys a ton of that's like generational money you're saving yourself, because you don't pay this guy you don't pay him for just like his career, like his 14-year contract. You're paying this guy for 30 years. You're paying him for after retirement. This is silly. Let's go out and get 5 or 6 other great players. So where are we at? What do we have for time? Okay, 8:15. So I told my guest, dude, just 8:20-ish, 8:30. I'll do sports. I'll do fundraisers. So we're gonna do fundraisers next, and we'll see where that gets us. So if you have watched any of my shows, God, in the last, what are we in April now? In the last 3.5 months, I started off with 3 fundraisers this year. The first one just ended. It was the Mark Ambrose Bingo. So we took a member of the craft beer community, a popular member of the craft beer community. This is a gentleman here. This is Mark, and that's the guy who won the bingo art. Mark is a swell fella. He travels different breweries around Rhode Island, southeastern Massachusetts. Mark and I have a lot in common. Not just a love in beer, just life experiences. You meet people through beer for different reasons, and you connect with them. And just this guy's he's not old enough to be my father, but he's a little bit older than I am. But it's not about, he's a wicked cool guy, and you see him around different breweries, and he's always fun to talk to, always fun to drink beer with, and he's always got to get a selfie. That's Mark's thing, and then he posts them on this beer page. So where are you going to find Mark next? That's always the game. So dude, we could make money off of this, and for charity, of course. So I'm like, Mark, would you be down to do a Mark Ambrose bingo? He's like, yes. I'm like, we're going to do it for charity. We're going to raise money. We're going to sell tickets, Mark. We're going to do it for charity. He's like, oh, that sounds great. Mark, I need you to, 1, make a list of 24 breweries that you can get to. 2, your charity of choice. I want it to be a local charity. It's nothing wrong with these big charities that are nationwide and that support people all over the world. That's all well and good. But I want to help people in my own community. I want Mark to help people in his own community. So I'm like, Mark, pick a local charity. He picked the Ronald McDonald House, which is located in Providence. It's located, which is where I'm not in Providence. I'm in Rhode Island, but in Rhode Island, in Providence, in our wonderful state capital. The Ronald McDonald House is located over. It's like a block behind the Hasbro Children's Hospital. It gives like families a place to set up shop when their kids are in the hospital and like have their, if they have other kids, like the home base of operations right there by the hospital. Can't get any closer really, other than being in the hospital yourself. So it was a great choice of charity, Mark. We started that. Ticket sales went on sales on February 1 to March 20th. We went live with bingo on March 1. People started following Mark around. We started leaving hints on Three Dudes Brews, my other fantastic event where my event. It's a podcast and a pre-recorded vodcast. I guess it's more of a show now. I don't even know, but I don't even know what to call it anymore. We travel on to different breweries and talk about beer and the craft and all the good things. So we started doing this with the show. So this is the winning bingo card. So Art, this is what people would receive when you bought a card. You get a numbered bingo. We sold 40 tickets. We raised close to $500, but then because I used Eventbrite, they took fees away, so it came out to about $400. Well, I'm going to donate money to Ronald McDonald, his house, to add to the fundages. We estimated about $400. So he picked the bottom row. Initially, we weren't doing any middle square. We replaced the middle square with a new brewery that opened on St. Patty's Day or St. Patty's Day weekend, Tragmar in Bristol. Fantastic location. And then that became the free space. But nobody didn't need that. They had like so many. Art and Liz, which you'll see a picture of Liz in a minute. They are like moderators. They're like some of the admin for this Rhode Island Craft Beer community page, which is a tremendous resource where you can post about beers. I'm talking about paranormal. This is a paranormal show. I'm just talking about beers. I'm sorry. I get wrapped up. So these are all different locations. So that's the winning card. So this is them at Origin. This is Art and Mark. That's Mark with that awful Yankees hat on. That's Art and Mark with that awful Yankees hat on. That picture, that's at it's a Pivotal, I believe. Then they're here. They're at Vigilant. And then they're here. They're at the Gill Pawtucket. That's Liz and Art and Mark. And again, this is Mark and Art at Buttonwoods Brewery in Providence. A big, huge thank you to everybody. Not only everybody who bought the tickets, but all these breweries that were on this bingo card. We made promos. We took them out. They hung them up. They talked about them with patrons. They got people to buy stuff. Big, huge thank you to Mark Ambrose, who put his liver on the line and went during the biggest craft beer month of the year, Rhode Island Craft Beer Month in March, and Big Labrewski, which it's another event where it just gives you more opportunities to drink more beer. Mark took many selfies with so many people. It's really a great time. It's really a great way to get out there and meet people and do something fun for charity. My second charity this year got canceled because we sold one ticket. Sarah Gagney, sweetheart, I had her on here probably 3 weeks ago. She did tarot cards live for people. Unbelievable. Amazing. She was going to team up with her boy and mine, Brian Danzero. They were going to do a gallery reading at the Varnum Armory, and the proceeds were going to go to Varnum. Unfortunately, we were only able to muster one pathetic ticket sale from that. Do I have the promo for that one? I do. We're going to do this. That's Brian. That's Sarah. It's going to be a good time. Unfortunately, it didn't sell. What is selling, though? What is on sale now? The event is on May 24th. It's Beyond the Veil. It's with Christina Marie. She's been on the show many times doing either live readings or she's done an interview or two. There are 80 seats available, and half the proceeds are being donated to the Varnum Memorial Armory. What is the Varnum Memorial Armory, you ask? Well, let me show you guys really quick. Well, I'm waiting on my guest, Brian Fuller, who has not yet jumped into the studio. So we're going to do share screen really quick. Please hold. Your call is important to us. So the Varnum Memorial Armory is a museum. The building, it's a I don't know the whole spiel. It's a nonprofit. They are all right. There you go. I'll make this big so you're just looking at this and you're not looking at my face also. All right, so here we go. I'm going to walk you through this. This is their website. You go to www.varnumcontinentals.com. They are a not-for-profit group founded. They're in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. They have history property. So the Varnum House Museum, which is up on the hill, it belonged to the namesake James Mitchell Varnum. He was a general in the Revolutionary War. He did a lot of great things, which you'll see in just a moment. What I am supporting is here in the middle. So they have this marching regiment. You'll see them in parades. They're state chartered militia. They built this building in 1913. I believe they were founded in 1907. They're originally part of one of the oldest militias in the state of Rhode Island, and they separated from them and they formed this organization here on Main Street, 6 Main Street, East Greenwich, Rhode Island. So this is what I'm supporting. I volunteered here for a number of years. I am a giant supporter of these guys. I will regularly post about how awesome of a place this is. You can come here. They have open houses once a month. They are open to private tours for donation. They don't charge any money, but they ask for a donation for a private tour because, ultimately people are taking time out of work. People like this guy here, who you can see in this video playing in the background. That's Patrick Donovan. He's the president of the organization. He's the curator of this museum. Before Patrick came, you're seeing all this great stuff, all these great exhibits. Before Patrick came, it was just like, there was stuff, but it was all scattered about. And nothing was like really in cases, really all that great. And it was like a boys' collection, it was like a social club. And now this has become more of a museum. The exhibits are phenomenal. He brings in a lot of funding. He puts a lot of time, energy, work, and all of it. Him, Maria Vasquez, the curator. The other curator, she's a textile conservator. The other members of the organization that donate their time and their efforts to preserving. They not only house these amazing artifacts from the past. You're seeing like uniforms, and there's a machine gun. There's a pair of gloves from the Battle of Bull Run. They're bloody, by the way. All this stuff that I'm going to talk to you for a little bit about is all preserved and also conserved. So some of these uniforms, Maria's had to repair and sew holes in and moth holes and all that stuff. And it's all volunteer work. None of these guys are not paid at all to do this. This is all a passion for the past, to preserve it for future generations and give it a home. And it's some of the stuff that you're seeing. You have no idea what it is. It's so powerful, and its contribution to the past and where we are. It's essentially a Rhode Island military history museum. Essentially, it's not the official one, but it's definitely the best one. So I'm going to take you through a few of their exhibits. Their Revolution War period room. They have artifacts like this. This was carried by Rhode Island Continental Army during the Revolutionary War. This is the battle flag. They're currently, I think they have it now, and they're in the process of preserving it. This hat here is, I think it's going out on loan. I saw Maria packing it into a box. It was a member of the one of the founding members of the U.S. Artillery. He was wearing this hat, this helmet, if you will. It's beautifully painted. It's you looking at it, you would think it was like the picture really doesn't do it any justice. You think it was made last week, because it's so beautifully in order. There's a little pumpy ball on top there. It's on a string. You would think it was made last week or a year ago. This is from 1776. This guy was defending George Washington's escape from the Battle of Long Island after they got absolutely destroyed by the British, and he got shot in the head and died. Probably wearing this hat. It's kind of special. So you think paranormal. You think, I wonder. And I do. There's this flag here. This was carried by pre-revolutionary in the King Philip's War by Colonel Nathaniel Byfield. He's the founder of the town of Bristol, and he was involved in some other colonial wars up there in Maine. And that's a flag that he carried that was originally silk and red. There's a spot on it. They believe it to be blood. They've had it sent to the FBI for testing to see if it's Caucasian or Native American or what have you. This is that guy, James Varnum. He had the house on the hill. It's who they name him for. They have some artifacts of his, including a letter to Washington where George Washington signed it, and he signed it. This gun right here, I talked about this a little bit last week. right here in the front, right here. It's from one of two grenadiers. Grenadiers were the special forces of the British Army during the Revolutionary War. It was picked up on at the Battle of Saratoga, which was the first, not the first, but one of the turning points of the American Revolution, where the Americans defeated the British and caused the French and probably the Spanish to jump into the war at that point. The French got jumped in the war anyway, and it became more of a world war at that point. But it pushed us towards closer to independence. But that comes from that day. This, and they can trace it to one of two men of a particular company of grenadiers who were at Saratoga that day. So that's absolutely incredible. Another piece that's in this room that, other than the flag, this is what the flag is. That's absolutely amazing that it survived. I'm getting to it. I'm sorry. I'm moving a little slow here. It's right here. So there's a letter. It's a letter written by a surgeon, but it was dictated by Thomas. Oh God, I forgot his name now. He Thomas was a slave in a plantation in Warwick, Rhode Island, which is, you know, Warwick and all. He was like a slave in Rhode Island, in the North, buddy. Yes. Before the American Revolution, even after the American Revolution, there was slavery, slave trade here in Rhode Island, and we enslaved the Native Americans. We had an African slave trade coming through here. This gentleman was an African American slave. He was given the opportunities to serve for the Rhode Island, the Rhode Island First. Rhode Island First. So the Rhode Island First Regiment was it was organized by James Varnum, the guy who they named the museum for. He organized the first black regiment in the country. It's done here in Little Rhode Island. Isn't that great? This is the letter right here. They have it framed in a case. The story in how they found this letter too is amazing. They had a whole bunch of boxes of all these old newspaper clippings and articles and stuff from this old office that they were cleaning out. And Patrick tells a story. He's like, I was going through the box, and he's like, I was just about to take the whole box, buddy, and just dump it into the trash. He's like, he's like, something told me, something paranormal, again, something told me, go through that again. And he's like, I reached into the box, and he's like, I felt something. He's like, I felt old paper. He's like, I pull it out, and it's this, and it's this letter. It's a letter that says he was injured at the Battle of Rhode Island in 80, maybe 81, and he wasn't the same afterwards. It's a definitive definitive signs of post-traumatic stress disorder, including like him having like what he used to describe me as fits, and how war is detrimental to his mind and his body, and he'd rather go live back in slavery instead of like continuing to fight in the war. And he would have gotten his freedom afterwards. He wanted to go back to being a slave. So actually, absolutely heartfelt. Patrick probably tells it 100 times better than I do. Absolutely heartfelt story. So much emotion into some of these artifacts. I'll get into it in a minute. Time check 8:30. Check the studio. Oh, no, that's just Buddy. So my guest isn't here. So I'm going to continue about Varnum Armory for a bit and why I'm trying to raise money for them and why they're such an amazing institution, as my dog barks out in the background. Let's see. So that's the flag I was telling you about, from 1675, guys. King Philip's War, 1675. So that flag is 17, 18, 19, over 300 and what, like 345 years old? Yeah, I think about that. That's pretty damn old. That's actually so old. It's the second oldest flag in the Western Hemisphere. So North America, South America, the second oldest flag. The oldest one is in Mexico City. That is a painting from the Gaspee incident. If you don't know what the Gaspee incident is, it predated the Boston Tea Party. Rhode Island was first to say, "F you, Britain. We're not doing this anymore. This is bullshit." So they have a ton more that I'm not focusing on. I'm going to go to my favorite room, the Civil War room. Talking about emotion. So they have a gun where I'm having the event in the drill hall. They have two cannons. Oh, here we go. Here's the cannons. Here's one of them over here. This is the Bull Run gun, for the reason it was in the Battle of Bull Run, and then I don't think it was used for much more after that. This cannon right here is very important for Rhode Island state history. It comes to us on loan from the Rhode Island State House. Both of these guns do, although I hope it stays at Varnum forever. Just because like this one over here, they found like trash in the muzzle from dating back to like 60 years ago. They found trash from like newspaper and Dunkin' Donuts wrappers and like what? So here it can stay, it can be preserved and be beautiful. This gun right over here, it's known as the Gettysburg gun. Let me see. Oh, here we go. It's a perfect example. The Gettysburg gun, the front of the muzzle is got this huge chip in it, and you'll notice like that looks like a cannonball. Well, you know what? It is. So the third day of the Battle of Gettysburg, July 3rd, 1863, just before General Lee orders like 13,000 Confederates, led by General Pickett, known as Pickett's Charge in history, across over a 1 mile open battlefield where they could be absolutely destroyed by artillery and then by infantrymen guarding that center line. The Battle of Gettysburg. He tried day one. He tried the north end. Day two. He tried the hook, the bottom side, the peach orchard. Oh my God, the little round top. He was unsuccessful at both. He was close, but he was unsuccessful in overcoming the Union. He was generally was such a strategist. So he's like, I know for sure I'm going to break him in the middle. So he around like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the loudest event in human history up to that point occurred when Lee unleashed about 125 cannonade for over an hour and a half. They focused in on that center line, and one of the batteries sitting in the center, it's almost the center of the line. They focused on the copse of trees. You know anything about the Battle of Gettysburg? Just to the right of the copse of trees, or to the left, if you were sitting on the Union side, was the Rhode Island First Battery B, Rhode Island First Light Artillery Battery B. It was manned by 5 men, and the 2 men in the front, William Jones, he had just loaded the cannonball. No, the cannonball. He just loaded the canister, and then Alfred Gardner, private, 43 years old, father of several, was about to put the ball into the muzzle when the Confederate shell hit here, exploded. It took William Jones's head off. It cut off Alfred Gardner's arm at the shoulder. He fell back. He was bleeding out. He pulled himself up with his other hand by the carriage wheel on the cannon. Albert Strait, the sergeant, the guy commanding the gun, came over. This was his best friend. Alfred hands him the Bible. He's like, tell my wife I died happy. Make sure she gets my Bible. Hallelujah, hallelujah, amen. And he bled out and he died on the battlefield that day. But they tried to reload, and you can see like several looks like hatchet marks, because it is. They tried to reload the muzzle with a new cannonball and fire, and it was so hot that it welded the ball in there forever. And they disabled the gun that day. But the gun went on display at the old Rhode Island State House. It was outside forever. And then they moved it to the new Rhode Island State House. And it was in the lobby forever. And now it's housed in the drill hall of the Varnum Armory, which is where we're going to host the event on May the 24th to benefit the Armory. So another wonderful piece here is the You Belong. This is the National Guard. It was a promo in the 1970s to promote African Americans joining the military. This is a Medal of Honor recipient. This is the guy who everyone see the movie Glory. This is the guy who picked up the flag. He got shot like 7-8 times. He wouldn't drop the flag. He survived barely, and he's a Medal of Honor recipient. He's I think he's from Massachusetts. This is the Rhode Island. Rhode Island has the 4th Heavy Artillery division. These guys were African Americans, free blacks, who formed this division and fought in the American Civil War. I think they were stationed mostly in New Orleans. These are like uniforms that I'm talking about. This guy was in the Rhode Island 1st Cavalry, as was this guy, and they just like completely like restore, and like you can't really see the detail of what like Maria has done. Well, maybe you can, but like just incredible. It looks like it came out of my closet, but this is stuff that was like made like 155 years ago, and guys wore into battle. It's sick. How much this is like stuff that this stuff that was donated by a member of the Rhode Island 1st cavalry. This is what they would have carried into battle. This is the gun, the carbine that they used. That was created and designed by Ambrose Burnside, a colonel from Rhode Island who ended up becoming a general and then led the Union Army. Then he, great. So you would imagine all this stuff, all these artifacts. These pistols are amazing. You have these little sunglasses. I don't know if you can see them. In this photo, shit, I don't know. They're over here somewhere. That these little. They're right here. They're these little tiny like blue sunglasses. They look like John Lennon sunglasses. Like, wow, these are 1860 sunglasses. So this is what a guy from I think that's Matthew Bennett, which is weird because I know Matt Bennett, and he's not in the cavalry. This is the guy right here that that stuff belongs to. They have like a photo of this guy, and that's him, I think. He's from East Greenwich. So again, like all local Rhode Island guys, all local Rhode Island stuff that was made in Rhode Island from guys from Rhode Island, families from Rhode Island. This uniform here, I think this is artillery. These buttons say Providence, Rhode Island on the back of them. His brother was a tailor in Rhode Island. Amazing preservation. This sword here, this was donated by the family. This guy fought in the this is Israel Putnam. He was a colonel. He fought under, I think he fought under Burnside. He fought in the Battle of New Bern, which was the first major Union victory of the Civil War. We actually got our asses kicked pretty bad by the Confederacy for a while, and then they New Bern, North Carolina, they were on an expedition down there, and they were getting their asses handed to them. They were barred down, and this guy Putnam sees a kink in the Union in the Confederate line, and they attack it, and the whole Confederate line falls, and he wins the day. The guy would go on to die at the Battle of Antietam, which was holy shit. I was going to talk about if tonight's guest comes on. Brian comes on tonight. He's from the great state of Maryland. He's not here yet. I'll continue to talk more about history. I don't mind. Also, this place, I first came in contact with this place. I was at a volunteer meeting with the Nathaniel Green Homestead, which I used to volunteer for, another kind of haunted place, and I was like baffled by like all the stuff that they had then, which was like in comparison to right now, is nothing at all. Brian has yet to see any of my messages. So while we were planning on him coming in, I don't know if he's going to make it. So I'll continue to talk about this for a bit. We'll see where it gets us this evening. Artifacts like this here. So I talk about stuff that they restored. This thing the frill was all torn up. The flag was torn. There was like a hole here. And Maria, like this is some stuff that's still missing. But Maria has like brought this thing back to life. So this is all stuff that they do. Again, this is Maria Vasquez, lovely and talented textile conservator. She's amazing. She's like a surgeon with a needle and thread. So this here is this guy here. He was like 16 years old. He joined he was in the infantry. He was deemed a coward for what reasons we don't know. I don't know if you can see the similarity, what he's wearing here. And what that jacket, right? So he became a bugler because he was a coward. So then he was I think it was the Battle of Fredericksburg, and he did some heroic action, turning the cannon around and firing the cannon in the right direction. And then it's Cedar Oak. I'm not sure the battle. I think it was 1864. He did like this Indiana Jones move where the Confederates were trying to capture a team of horses that was pulling a team of cannons, and he intercepted it, jumped on the horses, turned the horses around, recaptured the cannons, and right as he was like riding into the sunset, the Confederates shot him right through the chest, and he died. He was like 18. He was supporting his family, sending his money home to mom. Mom was a single mom, and he was off fighting and supporting his family, and he died. I don't think he was wearing his bugler's jacket, but she's done some amazing work with this. And look at this. This thing, look, I don't know if you see the zoom in here, but like the stitching, it's incredible what they do, and the work that they put in, and the time that they put in. And that's why I'm raising money for these people. Just this, and they share it with this right here, this sash here, this sword. So the sash and the sword belonged to Colonel Ambrose Burnside when he led the First Rhode Island into the Battle of Bull Run, the first battle of the Civil War. He would go on to become general. He would go on to be head of the Union Army for some time, until he suffered some. There was a lot of bullshit. He wasn't a bad general. He just it was a bad system, and he got scapegoated. Um, I've heard many historians defend Ambrose Burnside. He's buried in Swan Point Cemetery. He has a lovely grave. I go over and say hi to him anytime I'm over there. These are the things you kick the horse with when you're on the horse. You want him to go. It's kind of barbaric, but they were worn by the boy governor. This guy here, he was like, they called him the boy governor. He was I forget his name. I don't know. Is he Sprague? I don't know. Anyway, no, he wasn't Sprague. He was like 40, and he was a big supporter of Lincoln, and he led the troops into the Civil War. He delivered them to D.C. I think he led them at Bull Run, but they got all stuff like this. These uniforms. This flag here was Battle of Middleburg, June, I think 8th or maybe the 12th, 1863. Rhode Island Cavalry is deemed with the charge to go find the Confederate Army, who is in the Shenandoah Mountains. If you know Virginia at all, the Shenandoah Mountains run down Virginia. He was using it as a cover so he could take his army north and invade it. It was the Gettysburg campaign, so it was 1863. So Gettysburg was about 3 weeks away. So Middleburg is about probably maybe 20 miles west of D.C. It's not very far. So he rides into town. There's like 280 of these guys, cavalry guys. They nearly capture Jeb Stuart. He's the head of the Confederate cavalry. He's a general. His party gets broken up. His officers they all get chased out of town. They were given orders to hold the town, not to pursue, but to hold the town. So what does Jeb do? He goes out and he gets, like 3 divisions of Confederates, some pretty angry Mississippians and some really angry Virginians. And they go and they absolutely surround and destroy. And it's run guys, every man for their lives. Out of the 280, I think 40 survived. The rest were absolutely destroyed. And a lot of them were captured. Some of them hid in bushes. Some of them escaped. Some of them went to prison camps and died awful deaths. But this is the flight they had. We got that back. Varnum got that back. I think in the late 90s. They gave it back, and we now hold it in our possession. It's a treasured. Again, another. All right. So if you want to talk about the paranormal, you want to talk about history, you want to talk about. I can add this in. So anybody knows anything about attachment theory, right? That's where like a spirit will attach itself to Brian's still not here yet. Will attach itself to an artifact. Sometimes it's a ring, sometimes it's a bureau, sometimes it's a dress, sometimes it's a bed. What's his name? Zaffis, Johnny Zaffis used to have a show called The Haunted Collector, and they'd go around and they take people's stuff and that they thought was haunted. And I don't know. Is attachment theory a thing? Does anybody think attachment theory is a thing? Shout it out if you will. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's actually watching. Well, whatever. If you are, maybe you get a little history lesson. So, Lieutenant Henry Prescott, he was like a father. He was like a father of 5. He was a very calm demeanor, very collected and fearless, while bravely leading the 1st Rhode Island detached militia into their first baptism of fire at the Battle of Bull Run, the first major battle of the American Civil War. And these were like the first combatants of the Union versus the first combatants of the Confederacy. So this is like some of the first guys to go at it. About 11 o'clock in the morning, on the morning of July the 21st, 1861, Lieutenant Prescott was shot through the head while advancing towards the Confederate lines. He fell backwards into the hands of Private William B. Du Bois of Company D, who cradled his mortally wounded Prescott in his arms and gently lowered him to the ground. His men gathered round him, and for a few minutes it seemed impossible to rally them. But they assumed observed the order and were seen loading their muskets with tears running down their cheeks. Private Dubois was wearing these white gloves as Prescott was mortally wounded. The gloves are still stained with blood, as you can see right there. This is all blood. This is not dirt. They were donated to the Varnum Continentals by the family of William Dubois. In the haste of retreat, Prescott's body was never recovered, despite. Oh yeah, it was Governor Sprague. His best efforts. 8 months later, he led a force of men to find the other Rhode Islands left that terrible day, and it would never recover. So they have bloody gloves from this guy's like got shot in the head, and the emotion, the trauma. Imagine you're 17 years old, you're 800-900 miles away from home. You're involved in a conflict that you don't really know all that much about. You're fighting people who are your own countrymen. You might be related to some of them. Who knows? But you're off in a foreign land, not a foreign land. You're in Virginia. It's tremendously hot, especially in June, where it's not really that hot in Rhode Island. Well, it is, but not like Virginia hot. And you're in a wool uniform, and you're marching up a hill, Matthews Hill, and you can see the enemy coming, and the bullets start flying. And the man who has been like your father figure for like the last 4 months, he was there to like to get you used to like marching and like how to shoot a musket, how to shoot a rifle, whatever. And he's just like help you with common and being like getting used to like being in a war and like serving and doing duty and all that stuff. And you watch him get shot right in the head, and it's just it sucks the life out of you, especially because they made efforts to make sure he didn't go into battle, didn't lead them into battle because they didn't want anything to happen to their beloved lieutenant, Henry Prescott. And he's like one of the first Rhode Islanders to die in Rhode Island. So in the American Civil War, and one of the first Union casualties, which is, it's terrible. It's a lot of emotion, but you would think something like that, or that with the blood, with the emotion, you think that would hold on to a spirit. In my time, in my investigations here, I have never talked to Lieutenant Prescott that I know of. I have definitely talked to spirits here, though. There's no doubt in my mind. The Reno Post, those were like in Greenwich. Those were the veterans after they came home from the Civil War. They restored this flag, and they had hang this flag proudly. Like the detail. Look at the detail on these uniforms, dude. This is like incredible. So this right here, this is a. Let me check my studio really quick. Yep, my guest is still not here. It's it's 10:09. Well, I'm moving right along. This is gonna be this started off as a paranormal talk with a paranormal investigator. It's turning into a little bit of a history lesson and maybe a little bit about the paranormal. So this is one of my favorite stories here. If you know anything about the paranormal, maybe you know a little bit about synchronicity. I'm going to take a little sip out of my beverage. I have Mountain Dew this evening. It's National Beer Day. I don't drink during the week, dude, anymore. I just hold on. And I am doing a podcast on Thursday, and I'm going to have a few beers. So I mean, there's that too. This is my hold on. This right here, the middle, the middle, the left, and the right. So the three pieces of uniform. One's not really a uniform, but anyway, they're connected to a quite the Rhode Island. It has quite the synchronicity. So synchronicity is like coincidence, like but intentional coincidence, like the way the body interacts subconsciously with the universe. Like if you're thinking about your sister Jean all day, and then Jean calls you later in the day out of the blue after like 6 years of not talking to you, maybe there's something there. Maybe not. Maybe this is a better example though right here. So T. Fred Brown, this is this guy's name. You see right over here under this lovely white hat. T. Fred Brown was the lieutenant of the 1st Rhode Island Light Artillery. The same guy I was talking about earlier, Battery B. This is the same unit. Sort of. So on day 2 of this Battle of Gettysburg, T. Fred Brown is on a horse, and he's there's a battery unit out in front of the Union line, and they're firing to like the northish. They're aiming across the lines. They're aiming out towards like Lee's headquarters, right? And they see a body of troops coming up the road. They think it is reinforcements. They think it's infantry reinforcement because the Confederates aren't that far away. And as they get closer, they realize it's not reinforcements. In fact, it's Wright's Brigade out of Georgia. And they realize this when they're too close. So they can't really turn the guns around and fire on them. They kind of fighting for their own lives. And there's a spot at Gettysburg. It's the only spot in the whole battlefield of Gettysburg, all the monuments, all the stuff that they have there. It's named for a man. It's named for this man here. It's called Brown's Gate. So T. Fred Brown finds it's a hole in the stone wall. It's a separation in the stone wall. He leads his battery through the separation in the stone wall closer to the Union line. He's able to gain support from the Union infantry who come and help to repel the Confederates. However, as he's guiding the last two cannons through this hole, he's struck with a bullet in the neck. It goes within about an eighth, probably less than that, of an inch of a centimeter from his carotid artery, and he falls off his horse. So the Union repel the Confederates. They go back and forth for a little bit. Fred is left for dead. They come back. Fred's alive. They take Fred off the battlefield. Fred leaves. Fred goes and convalesces in a hospital. He returns to Rhode Island and convalesces at home. Until October of that year, Fred would have been involved the next day. He surely would have lost his life. So Fred comes back to the war in October of 1863. He serves out the rest of the war with the Union, and he with Rhode Island Light Artillery. He is on the what is it, the lines he's on the lines when the white flag goes up and the rider comes across the field at Appomattox after Appomattox at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia, 1865, and Lee hands him not Lee, but the rider hands Fred Brown the letter from Lee to go to Grant to say, hey, we should like talk about ending this thing. So Fred Brown ends up retiring, mustering out with the First Rhode Island Cavalry at the end of the war. A successful dude. You survived the whole war, and you almost died, and you came back for more. So good for you. So Fred, this is his uniform here. This hat here, this white hat, the civilian hat. Fred was wearing it that day. You can still see on the back. You can't see it here, but on the back of the hat, there's a burn hole, like right in the brim. It's circular. It's right from where the bullet came out of his neck and went through and burned a hole. And then on the top, there's like a splatter of blood. So that's really good. And that's preserved from July 2nd, 1863. What's really amazing about this story is not so much that Fred like almost died and came back and was there. I forgot the name of the lines. Anyway, he was there when Lee wanted to surrender. Years later, Fred is in charge of the I think I want to say maybe the Reno post, a veterans post. So he about within 20-25 years after the battle of the Civil War, these guys who were involved, so these guys who had actually survived, realize how pivotal of a moment in human history that they lived through. It's absolutely incredible. Some of these guys like survived like some of the most brutal combat and brutal fighting ever known up to that point, and they survived it, and they came home and they lived, and they thank their lucky stars they were there, and they realized how important it is for other people to remember and to know what they did and to know the struggle and to know the battle. So they started building monuments, and in order for them to build a monument, they needed to have like, okay, I'm with the First Rhode Island Cavalry, and we fought the 22nd Texan Infantry. We got to have one of them say, yes, you were there in that spot. And we said, yeah, we were there in that spot. We got to have like somebody to back up our story. So Simeon Theus, he was an infantry member with the Wright's Brigade out of Georgia. He sends a letter to the Providence Journal explaining that, hey, we're at the Battle of Gettysburg. We were on the second day. We attacked a Union battery. They'll remember us for sure because I killed their Union officer. And blah, 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 blah. And so the Providence Journal, who's our local newspaper here in Rhode Island, they sent it to the head of the Veteran, the Reno Post, who happens to be T. Fred Brown. Fred writes a letter back to this guy, Simeon Theus. This guy's a jeweler. He's a little bit, he came into a little bit of money because he's a jeweler post-war. And he's the head of the organization down there. So Fred writes him back. He's like, hey, I got your letter. They sent it to me. Tell me more about this officer that you killed. He's like, yeah. He's like, we were like, he writes him back. He's like, yeah, we were like, we marched on the road. We came upon this battery. We started attacking them. He's like, my buddy Jacob. He's like, hey, Simeon. He's like, shoot him. Shoot that. See that officer on that horse? Shoot him. He's like, I'm gonna do it. He's like, get my rifle, take aim, bam. I got him right in the neck. He came right off the neck, right off the horse, and he was dead. He's like, I told people for years, it's the only Union guy I know that I actually killed. And so Fred gets this. He's like, oh wow. He's like, he doesn't want to lead him into it too much. He's like, tell me a little bit about the guy that you shot. That, like, what he looked like, the horse he was. He's like, yeah, he rode a roan horse. He was waving a pistol in the air, and he had on a white civilian's hat. And Fred gets out and he's like, huh. So then Fred tells him, he's like, I hate to burst your bubble, dude. This is probably not actual verbatim. This is just, I hate to burst your bubble, dude, but not only did you not kill this guy, but I know that because that guy is made, dude. And the two go back and forth for a number of years, writing letters. They actually ended up forgiving each other and coming to terms and becoming some of the best friends. These guys tried to kill each other, and then they could become some of the best of friends. So that's a little ironic. That's a little synchronistic. Another thing that's a little synchronistic about this story, before I check my studio. Okay, it's still just me yapping. Another thing that's really synchronistic about this story is that so years and years later, probably the 1980s, probably 1990s, maybe even the early 2000s. Let me go down because he's right here. I can show you who I'm referring to. Phil. Oh, he's up here. I left him up here, I think. I think Phil's up here. No? Shit, I thought. All right, there's a picture of Phil Di Maria. He's like the. See if I can find a picture of him. Oh, here he is. This is Phil. This is Phil standing next to T. Fred Brown. T. Fred Brown. So Phil is a Rhode Island historian. He's the commander of the Rhode Island Battery B reenactment group. He's an amazing guy. He's an amazing historian. He's an amazing person to listen to. He knows everything about this battalion because this battery, because he's done reenactments for years, and he knows he read everything he could about these people. So years go by. So it's like the 1990s, maybe the 2000s. Phil is this couple. Pause with Phil. This couple buys a house in Daytona Beach, Florida. A little bit before that with Phil, and they found these old boxes in the basement, and they found like a whole ton of letters, and they found this uniform here with the hat and the jacket and the pantalones. They found this hat, and they found this hat here, and they found a whole bunch of letters. And it was so after Fred and Simeus met through pen pals, T. Fred Brown, being like any good Rhode Islander, did what every good Rhode Islander does, and they become a snowbird, and they buy a house in Florida. So that's what he did. He went down to Florida, and he bought a house in Daytona Beach. So this couple, years later, Fred obviously was dead for many years, buys this house and finds all this old Civil War stuff. And they read all these letters. They know about T. Fred Brown, and they knew about the Battle of Gettysburg, and they know about his whole history, and they know about Simeon Theus, and they're like, wow, this is a great story. This is a great story. This is in our house. This is like a treasure. So this couple ends up being in a wedding up in right outside of Philadelphia, and they're looking for something to do. The next day, it's like a Sunday, and they're in town for another day, and they're looking for something to do in the area. And they saw this article in the paper about this Rhode Island historian named Phil DeMaria. He's doing a thing on Rhode Island First Light Artillery, Battery B, at the Battle of Gettysburg, at the battlefield, and he's giving a talk. And they're gonna have the guns out and stuff. So this couple goes to the battlefield at Gettysburg. They find Phil, like, hey, you're Phil, and he's like, hey, I'm Phil, and he's like, do you know T. Fred Brown? And Phil's like, of course I know T. Fred Brown. He starts going off, oh, he's Battery B, he got shot, and blah blah blah. He starts going on and on, and he's like, so we own his old house, and we have all this stuff that used to be his. Long story short, Phil ends up Phil's a member of the Rhode Island Varnum Memorial Armory, and he ends up getting the stuff donated to Varnum through much coercing and like, hey, it's going to be safe, it's going to be protected, which is awesome. What's even more awesome, they end up finding the relative, like the great grandchild of Simeon Theus. He lives out in Texas, and Phil and this other guy who's a relative of Brown, they go down there. They united. They go down there, and the guy who had the stuff, he had just passed away. He had passed away the week before, but his partner was there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, well." He talked a lot about this. This is something he's like really proud of. He has a whole box, so let me give you the box. Comes with the box, and it's all these letters from T. Fred Brown. So they had Simeon Theus's letters here and in Daytona, and they had Fred Brown's letters out there in Texas. And then they pulled out this pendant with this chunk of steel on the end of it, and this like ball. What's that? So Simeon Theus, the same day as he shot T. Fred Brown, he was shot in the calf by probably by a Union guy, and he was sidelined, and he probably would have died the next day in Pickett's charge, as a lot of guys did. And he walked around with that ball in his leg for 13 years. And then he had it removed, and he made it into a pendant. He was a jeweler, like I said, and he wore it for the rest of his life. And the letters, the uniforms, they're all at the Varnum Armory, preserved to this day. So it's coincidence. It seems more coincidental. These guys would like almost kill each other in the Civil War. Two guys out of probably close to 50,000 men that were there those 3 days on both sides. And they would find each other, ironically, after the war. And even more, they become really close friends. And then years later, their stuff would come back together again. Their letters to each other, their artifacts, in the same building, in the same tremendous, amazing building, which is here at the Armory. All this stuff you can see really up close. You can see the burn mark in the back, the blood stains if you're there. The bullet struck summer hat worn by T. Fred Brown, Rhode Island First Light Artillery, when wounded on July 2nd, 1863, at the Battle of Gettysburg. That's what the rest of that sign says. Jesus Christmas, buddy. That's more of the hat. That's the 14th heavy. That's the black cannon heavy artillery. That's one of those guys that served in that amazing regiment. This is a drummer. This is a drum from the city of Fall River, when Fall River was still part of Rhode Island. It was part of a militia that was in the Civil War. This Phil again. This is kind of a cool story. So this guy was shot in the Civil War. That's in this photograph here. He had his leg taken off. He had a fake leg put on and wore it the rest of his life. It was heavy. It was cumbersome. This is actually the leg that he wore. He was from Rhode Island also. Kind of morbid, but kind of cool at the same time. This is a good look at the Gettysburg gun. This is what it looked like. The cannon. This is the ball molded in. You can see marks. You can't really see them here. You can see marks where it took shots on the carriage and stuff. It's an amazing piece of history. It captures a moment in time. This is what they since have put on the cannon. They embroidered it. They didn't embroider it. It's metal, buddy. They put it on here. They cast it, or what the hell they do. It had mentions William Jones. He had his head taken off. Alfred Gardner. Both guys passed. Alfred Gardner is Alfred Gardner, and it's so like guys that died like on this cannon, like attachment. You talk about attachment, like I don't know. Jones was standing here on this side, Gardner on the other side. It's just crazy. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine fighting in the Civil War. I couldn't imagine that kind of carnage. That kind of anyway. So they have these amazing artifacts. They have this amazing stuff. They have programs they do with kids kids in high school as internship. They build stuff together and teach them how to be conservators. The bull run gun straight on. That's it. It's, I showed you his uniform earlier. That's God, what's his name? Oh God, I can't remember his name. His uniform's there. This is him. He's a Union cavalry member. Obviously, he's sitting on a horse. He's in the cavalry. It's a cool picture though because we know who he is. He has the gun. He has the typical uniform of a Rhode Island cavalry member. So it's a really great portrait. I use this picture a lot. I'm not sure who this is off the top of my head. It's a lovely photo. It's a tintype. That's what they call it. Whoop. So you think of all this stuff, you would think that some of it would have some sort of an attachment. This is straight. This is the guy who took the Bible off of Gardner, and made sure he delivered it home to his wife. He's a father of five. Gardner. One thing that I haven't seen yet on here. It's right here. Okay, so this is two important pieces too. This is another thing that's synchronicity. Another moment of synchronicity. If you believe in synchronicity, if you know anything about synchronicity, about what I was talking about just a few moments ago. Let me pull it up on the screen here. All right, so this is Maria. She's a textile conservator. She does a majority of the conservation work here. She's an amazing woman. She's in charge of the museum at the Navy War College. She does this as her side gig, which she charges no money for. So, two amazing pieces here that I find absolutely, again, synchronistic, absolutely amazing. This is a small Bible that Maria is holding here in her hands. It's embossed. It has a shiny name on the front. It's named Alfred Gardner. He's the private who was killed defending the Gettysburg gun. So Alfred Gardner kept this Bible on his person. He would jot in notes about to his family, to his wife, to his children. He would talk about where they were, talk about what they were doing, sitting on a cornfield waiting for Johnny Reb, September 18th, 1862, Battle of Antietam, some of the most pivotal battles in American history. He was involved in 5 of them. He died. He was in service for 10 months, and he kept his Bible as almost like a journal, writing the sides of the pages and the beginning and the back of it. And his last inscription in the Bible comes from July 2nd at night, in line of battle, feeling good about heaven, the thought of heaven, thinking a lot about it on the march from Falmouth. They marched from Falmouth to Gettysburg, Falmouth, Virginia, which is down there. It's not far from Richmond, all the way up to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. My children always do goodwill to people. Always be good to your mother. Always be of good cheer. This is the dying wish of your father. So it's almost like he knew he was going to die in battle. He had seen battle at, like I said, the Battle of Antietam, the bloodiest day in American history, in 1862. The Battle of Fredericksburg, Chancellorsville. I think there's another one in there, in Gettysburg, and he died at Gettysburg. In those 10 months, he wrote letters, not only in his Bible, but he sent letters home to his wife in Swansea, Massachusetts, ironically on Gardner's Neck. And when he wrote the letters and he sent them home to her, he always put a flower in, and he sent her home a flower. So this other piece here, guys, if anything has an attachment, you would think it would be something like this: emotion, love, energy. Think about all this stuff. So this is so Patrick started talking about this book, doing talks about it, lectures and stuff, had Facebook posts, and he got a response from this active army officer in Virginia. He's like, "Hey, I saw your thing about the Alfred Gardner Bible." He's like, "I got something for you." So he drove up from Virginia, which, if you're not familiar with the Virginia to Rhode Island drive, it's about 12 hours. It's a good, depends about where in Virginia you're at, but it's a good ride. Um, Virginia's a lovely state. It's a little bit long, but anyway, I digress. So he comes out with this box. He opens this box and he pulls out this book, which you see right here in front of me. This other book that's on the right here, right? And he opens it and it says the scrapbook or the journal of whatever of I forgot her name, like Mrs. Lady Gardner, Mrs. Gardner, and you open it and page after page, it's the letter that he sent, and it's the flower. In the page, it's preserved like it was like picked yesterday. It's stunning. There are purple, I want to say lavender or violet maybe that's tucked in the from the battlefield of Antietam that I just mentioned in Maryland, bloody state of American history. This guy, he wasn't engaged. I think they were sitting in the reserve, waiting to be called up, and luckily he didn't end up taking part in the Battle of Antietam. But like all his letters that he sent home with a flower, all of them are preserved in this here book. And it's just like you think of the emotional attachment that goes into like the last your dying messages to your loved ones, to your wife, to the only person, the only people you love and you know in this world, and you're sending them that energy home, hoping that they'll get it, hoping that they'll feel it, knowing that they'll never get to touch you ever again. So it's just a traumatic history and amazing connection, and you wonder if any of this stuff has energy connected to it. I think maybe some of it does. Um, in my investigations here, I've investigated many times. I've held public investigations here, raised money for them again, and I've done mediumships here and raised money for them that way. I've done paranormal events with mediums, where a medium will jump in on the paranormal investigation. That's kind of fun too. I'm trying to get out of this. Hold on. Oh shit! I'm trying to figure out how I get out of. Oop, oop. All right, there we go. All stuff like that they got going on there. That's absolutely tremendous effort, and that's why I'm raising money. Brian is still not. Bam! It's 9:50. I'm moving right along. Holy shit, guys! Look at me. Don't have a guess. I'm just going to talk about my fundraising efforts at the Bottom Armory. So that's the Civil War room. That's one of my favorite rooms ever. They have added. Well, they haven't added this room. This is the World Wars room. So this is kind of cool too. A lot of people like World War II history. I like World War II history because my grandfather and my uncles fought in World War II, and World War I is just kind of like it's like a vague history for me because we weren't really involved very long. But it's not covered a lot in history books. It's covered a lot at the Varnum Armory. They have German helmets. They have Prussian helmets, the kinds with the points that you only see in like the old movies or whatnot. They have those. They have propaganda posters. They have uniforms. Again, they have a hell of a hold on. I got more. A hell of a weaponry collection. So if you're sensitive to Nazi history, to the Nazi flag, just close your eyes. I don't know. There's a few Nazi not celebrating at all by any means, but just like artifacts. It's an important history to tell the whole history. We can't leave out the things that are unpleasant. We have to remember those things so we don't make the same mistakes. So this is like they got the gas mask because they used like mustard gas and awful things during the First World War. These are some of the machine guns. These are the air powered machine gun. World War One. My dog barks in the background. She's a lovely girl. She really is. She just likes a lot of attention. Some propaganda posters. There's some World War One uniforms. Some German helmets here. That's German. These are German World War Two, of course. This is a cool helmet. This is you don't see it from the picture, but it's a Doughboy. It's an American helmet, and it was mailed home. There's like a stamp. You could just put a stamp on anything and send it through the mail. You didn't have to box shit back in the day. So a guy sent this home, and on the top of it is like this huge indentation, and then they have this like piece of like a shrapnel from a grenade that they would have thrown back in those days, and it fits like near perfect. And it's like the guy sent it home because the helmet it was the lucky helmet that saved his life. It's just like weird shit like that. The first flight that crossed into Germany at the end of the First World War. First American flag. There's another story in this room about a guy. I don't know if I think this might be his picture. He's a guy in World War One. I think this is the exhibit. Anyway, World War One, he was blinded. This is the exhibit right here. It's the uniform and helmet worn by Private Jesse Whaley of East Greenwich, Rhode Island, blinded by an enemy grenade. Jesse was drafted into service the last year of the war and was sent to the Western Front in France with Company K of the 310th Infantry Regiment. He took part in the largest battle in American history, the Meuse-Argonne offensive, where him and over 1 million soldiers were attacked in a 50-mile-long enemy battle line over a 7-week period. The attack ultimately brought the First World War to a close. During the Battle of St. I don't know, on the night of September 21st, Jesse's unit was ordered to make a midnight charge against a fortified German machine gun position. This attack would change his life forever. Just after the war, Jesse wrote a first-hand account of the attack, and it was published in the New York Times. See the next sign, which we might not see. As he was making an attack, a flare illuminated the battlefield where he saw a German soldier rise out of a shell hole and throw a potato masher grenade towards him. It exploded, killing some of the men around him, wounding Jesse in the temple. He was permanently blinded. I don't know if it tells the rest of the story here. No, shit, it doesn't. All right, so Jesse would go on to do like great things. That's him with, I think that's a blind typewriter for blind people. He'd have like 9 kids. He contributed to the community. You'd never know the man was blind. He went on to be live up to the challenge of being blind and doing great things after the war. So it's amazing stories like that. These weapons. This guy right here, he was a Marine. He captured a I don't know if it shows it in this picture. It's a samurai sword. He captured it in Okinawa. This is a German plane that was shot down over France, and they took a piece of the tail wing and they saved it, and then they donated it to the armory. The son pulled it out and he brought it into the museum. And he's like, "Hey, I got something for you guys." And Patrick opened the box and it's this. Like, wow, this piece of a plane. This is really chilling here. I don't know if you guys can see this. So these are Japanese. This right here is a little chilling here. It says Arizona. That's the USS Arizona. So these are photographs of naval war vessels. The Arizona, for those of y'all who don't know, was sunk in the Battle of Pearl Harbor. So these were found after the fact. These are different British vessels. These are American vessels. The Arizona. I think there's another one that was sunk. Oh, the Saratoga. Right, all ships that were like attacked or sunk, and these were like Japanese intel before Pearl Harbor. So before their attack on Pearl Harbor, this is them planning it for months in advance. It's kind of chilling. It's a little chilling to say. I'm not gonna lie. Sends a chill up my spine. They have the propaganda posters of the time. I can't see the sword from that. They have like a German Luger. They have the German machine guns. They have the M1. They have the American rifles. They have the all that stuff. They have the first bomb ever made. I don't know if this is gonna be a picture right here. Here's this is the sword I'm talking about. Samurai sword captured in Okinawa. AK-47. That's kind of a popular one. This is the German machine gun I was talking about. This is a Mauser. That like Rommel. If you ever seen pictures of Rommel in the desert, when he was in the African desert and they were fighting the British and the Americans, it's one of those helmets that they wore. There's a German helmet. My uncle's got stories of like crawling through Italy in the middle of the night and like coming upon a German camp, and he's like, we didn't know if they were American or German, buddy. I'm like, how did you know? How did you find out? He's like, I feel that helmet. If they got a helmet like that German helmet is. It's unique. He's like, if they had a German helmet, I knew they were German. I'm like, what'd you do then, Uncle Everett? He's like slice their throats. Like, oh, that's beautiful. American history right there. I was just a little guy. He's telling me those stories. It's amazing. Heroes that saved my life, Uncle Everett. Anyway, getting back to it. So they have all this stuff here, all this amazing. My man Tim Jackson. He was with us a number of times during investigations. He was a tremendous supporter of everything I did here. When my wife passed away in 2019, Tim embraced me, and he's like, "Your family here, buddy. Anything you need, your family's here for you." We were able to host her services there in the drill hall, her wake or wake, her Irish wake, and it was a good time. We had fun, and Tim passed away. Tim got hit by COVID, and he passed away 2022, I believe. Great man. Amazing man. He was the treasurer there at the Armory. So they have stuff like this. Just going through these pictures. All right. So then skim back to the top. They don't just have now, they've actually added to the museum recently have the Korean War, Vietnam War room. This is kind of combined with other rooms, but this is some cool stuff. This is a U.S. Air Force pilot helmet from the Vietnam War. The M16, they had the classic M16 every war movie. The mortar. That's a Viet Cong sandal. The Viet Cong flag, NBA flags. The helmet, that's kind of cool. So you think that would stuff a guy's shoe maybe would. Global War on Terror, they actually bring it into the 21st century. This is a really special for me also. This is a dear, very close friend of mine. This is the flag that he carried at 3rd Platoon, C Company, 172nd Infantry. Jeffy E. comments, he follows his page. He throws in comments about my awful Dolphins all the time, about my jobs, but he's one of the greatest people I know. This is the flag he donated. He donated a lot of this stuff, these uniforms and stuff. A lot of these stuff gotta hold some kind of energy, you know. Yeah, there's stuff for days in this place. It's just there's incredible items here. There's artifacts from stuff you remember happening, from stuff you don't remember happening. Conservation. There's a little bit about what they do here. They're working on the Rhode Island flag. From Maria does incredible things. They took this. This was the office space. They gutted it and they turned it into this beautiful new museum space where they're doing incredible stuff. They take hats like this. This is the before and after U.S. Civil War forage hats. This is what they do at the Armory. This is why I'm raising money for these people. They take a hat like this. It's all beat up. It's eaten out. It's got like moth ate out of it. It's Company D, 10th Regiment, Rhode Island Civil War, and this is what she ended up doing. Look at that. She went from that to this. I can't make that any bigger. She sewed it up a bit. She cleaned it up. She redid the stitching on the interior. She's using look at that. Look at the stitching. She returned that. She returned it to life, and I can make it. No, and I can't make it big. So that's just a little bit about the organization that I'm raising money for, the Varnum Armory Museum. www.varnumcontinentals.com. They are amazing. I'm going to pop my face back in here now. I'm going to remove that. I'm sorry. I'm going to put my face back in. My guest Brian never showed up. I'm sorry that you had to sit here and listen to my voice for, God, an hour and a half now. I can really go on, and my beard looks, it's a nice red. I really like that. I have a comment in my chat room. Taking questions. Oh, hey, guys. Oh, hey, it's just me, but, thanks for tuning in. It's always nice to have a guest. I was going to talk to Brian about, him being from Maryland. Maybe he talks about, he's an Army veteran. So it's going to be a great conversation because I love Army veterans. If you're an Army veteran, if you're from Rhode Island, say, hey, buddy will buy you a beer at this beautiful location called Crafted Oak Brewing. So just, give me a shout out, give me a like. Tune into everything we do with Three Dudes Brews. Thursday night, we do the last call as we host More Paranormal. Father Bob Bailey, a demonologist, Rhode Island Catholic priest, is coming on the show to not talk about demons, to not talk about ghosts, to not talk about specters, to not talk about getting scratched, to not talk about exorcisms, to talk about beers. He's like, buddy, you just started a beer show. I'm like, I did. This is last year. I'm like, I did, Father. He's like, when can I come on your show and talk about beer? So initially we were doing the pre-recorded thing. We still do the pre-recorded thing every month. Like Father, it's kind of like for us in the brewer, but when we do something live, dude, Padre, I'm gonna bring you on. And we just started doing this live thing where we talk about everything and nothing, and of course beer. It's every 2 weeks. We do it twice a month, so we're doing it this Thursday night. We haven't named the session. Special dude of the week, um, special dude, dude at the brew. Mark was at a brewery, so we're gonna have Father Bob come in and talk about beer instead of witches and ghosts and demons and the devil. He'll talk about the devil that is beer, which is not a devil. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm hoping Father will come in and with one of his favorites, which is the Dada, which is actually was my beer of the week a few weeks ago on www.3dudesbrews.com. That's our website. Check us out. Check us out for all the great, amazing beers that we drink and that we love, that we enjoy. It's not just about alcohol and promoting um, drinking alcohol, which can be an awful sin, and you can like really kill yourself talking about suicide and stuff. So drink responsibly. I love beer. I love the taste of beer. I love the craft that they do, but like everything else, there's got to be a line. Sometimes, sometimes the line for Buddy gets a little skewed. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I push the line a little bit. Sometimes I like to start heavy with my doubles and like go hard and go for all the high ABV stuff because it's not just about high alcohol content. It's about double the flavor. So it's not just a double IPA where it's like, oh my god, extra pine, dude. It's like double deliciousness and double also, yeah, the alcohol volume's a little bit stronger. I don't know why I'm whispering now. I'm sorry. Perhaps because I'm getting towards the end of my rope here. It's oh geez, it's 9:30. Brian never showed up. Cheers, Brian, for being an Army veteran though, dude, and a paranormal investigator and researcher. They do Vikingcat Paranormal out of there, out of Maryland. This is really this show hasn't been too riveting, but a little riveting. I've kept viewers in the room, so there's that. I thank you guys if you tuned in tonight and listened to my banter about history and banter about fundraising and everything that I'm doing for fundraising, and really think about the paranormal connection. I've been in this building by myself. I didn't itch. And I've been in the museum, which is in the lower half. It's under the drill hall, knowing I am locked in the building. I unset the alarm code, knowing I am the only person in this building. I've heard footsteps above my head walking in the drill hall. This has also happened to other people there too. It's not just me. I've heard shuffling on the rug in the hallway. I've been touched. I've heard like somebody talking to me, like a voice, not in my head. I've heard it with my ears, and there's nobody there. It's just me, and I know there's nobody there. And it's just me. It's a blessing to have somewhere like that where I can go and love my passion for history in the past and absolutely like soak myself into the pool of the paranormal and experience. I've never seen a ghost there, but ghosts have been seen there. Probably former curators, and you can visit there. Patrick will tell you ghost stories. Patrick has a ton of ghost stories. Book a tour with Patrick. He's the curator, Patrick Donovan. www.varnumcontinentals.com. As I said before, you can book a tour on there. You can catch them every month. They have an open house. Look at that site. They do. If you like, hey, I don't really like history because it's boring. Go here, take the full tour with Patrick, and then we'll talk. All right. That's really all I got tonight, folks. It's been a lovely night. Next Tuesday is tax day. We have a special guest joining us. He's usually here in the chat room. He's usually chatting in the chat room. Usually throwing in his sense. I'm gonna put him right in the pedestal. Wade Kirby is gonna join us. He's a paranormal investigator. He's a swell fella. I'm hoping Wade will show up. Unlike Brian. Brian, no hot feelings, dude. I get it. Life is fucking busy, dude. I got up at 5 this morning. I was gonna go to the gym. I'm like, I got to work at 11 last night. I got home at 12. I didn't get to bed till 12:30, so I really didn't get enough sleep. So, buddy slept another hour. Buddy went to work for 8 hours. Sat through a fucking awful staff meeting, and then not that any of them are really that good. Excuse my French. And then I went and picked up my mom from work and dropped her off, and I went to the gym and killed it. CrossFit is so the way to go if you're from around CrossFit Windrose. Dave Cardenas is absolutely the devil and the Lord and Savior himself at the same time. I think he's only the devil because when I'm mid workout, I'm like, oh my God, David is such a sadist. I'm killing myself out here, but it's all for good. I'm 46 years old, and shit, I gotta do something, right? So tune in next Tuesday. Wait, Kirby, tune in on Thursday. The live beer thing. We're gonna be booking the next Three Dudes Brews show. We hitting a few bumps with that, but it's just scheduling shit. So we'll smooth all that out. Check out all of our episodes on Three Dudes Brews on our YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're all over the friggin' place. For Bams, who wasn't here tonight. For Brian Full, who wasn't here tonight. It's been me, Buddy Thayer, paranormal investigator, walking you through the world of the paranormal and history. And shit, I kind of did it all by myself tonight. So hope you guys have a good week. Hope you guys learned a little bit tonight, if anything. And cheers. Peace.